The terracotta army is amazing.
Oh, yeah.
An ancient tomb embedded in a pyramid structure.
That within the pyramid is a lake of mercury.
Surrounded by traps and poisonous fumes.
That there are mechanical devices in there which will fire arrows at you if you go in.
And guarded by an army of 8,000 soldiers.
And up to this day, it's not been excavated.
So what is this mystical place that sounds like a scene from an Indiana Jones movie? Well, let's find out. Behold, the long-lost burial mound of the first Chinese emperor, who lived between 260 and 210 BC, and was known as Qin Shi Huang. When this emperor died, he was buried in what is considered one of the largest mausoleums on Earth. As you will see, the more we dig into this mystery, the stranger it gets. In fact, it looks more like something out of an adventure novel than real life. So let's uncover this incredible story from the very start and find out how the tomb was found, what was inside, and why, 50 years later, it still hasn't been fully excavated. I live in Europe, and I remember being in school when the history teacher told us the true story of a farmer who had been plowing the field. He struck something hard, and it turned out to be a gold-plated helmet from the time of the ancient Romans. His family then excavated an entire hoard of treasure and tried to keep it for themselves. But pretty soon, word broke out, and the government seized the loot. Well, a similar thing happened in 1974, near Xi'an, China. But this time, the farmers were digging a well. What they found was a few pieces of pottery, and then a beautifully sculpted clay head, then another, and another. They quickly reported their find, and soon, an archaeological team started digging. One by one, an army of soldiers emerged from the ground, and they kept emerging by the thousands. What those Chinese farmers uncovered that day is still considered one of the most amazing archaeological finds of the 20th century. The news of this incredible discovery quickly circled the globe.
It's a vast pottery army which is slowly being unearthed from the tomb where it's lain for more than 2,000 years.
But that was just the beginning. The fun part was yet to come, because this army was like no other. We are already used to pharaohs being buried with mummies to guard them. But this was something different. There were thousands of life-size terracotta soldiers, some of them still holding real weapons. And you know what the weirdest thing is? No two soldiers are the same. Each one of them was made by hand, with its own unique facial features, hairstyles, and headgear. Imagine the workmanship that went into building this army. To add to their uniqueness, parts of the soldiers were painted in bright colors, such as bright red, pink, green, and purple. Most of the colors were plant or mineral-based. However, the purple was obtained through a chemical reaction that is unique to China and not very well explained. Let me throw some numbers at you. Qin's tomb is one of the largest mausoleums in the world. It is guarded by more than 8,000 warriors, including foot soldiers and archers, 130 charioteers, all equipped with almost 40,000 real, sharp bronze weapons, 520 horses, and 150 cavalry horses. The soldiers are between 1.8 and 2 meters tall. But if he wanted to have an interesting afterlife, the emperor also needed civilians, such as government officials, acrobats, dancers, singers, animals, and even a strongman. It took 700,000 workers around 38 years to build all this. If you want me to do a special video on how the terracotta warriors were made, just subscribe and let me know in the comments below. And now let's talk money. Each terracotta warrior is estimated to be worth around 4.5 million US dollars. So an army of 8,000 would cost you around $36 billion. With all the other statues and artifacts, it is estimated to be worth around 50 billion. But what was the point of all of this? In short, it was the quest for eternal life. You see, 3,000 years ago, in China, the people believed in the afterlife. It was customary for kings and noble people to be buried with their servants. So human sacrifice was an important part of the burial ritual. At one point, they probably realized that was messed up, so they decided to build terracotta soldiers instead. Yeah, that's some wishful thinking. In reality, Qin's conquests and merciless tactics led to a lack of manpower. Cities were struggling to maintain their population, so sacrificing people for the sake of burials became a luxury they couldn't afford. And that was the real reason the emperor turned to soldiers made of baked clay, instead of sacrificing his own people. Now, in some aspects, Qin was a really cool emperor. Not only did he unite China, but he also standardized measures, currency, and writing. He also commissioned the first network of highways in China, as well as the first version of the Great Wall. But, if you look at it from a different perspective, he was just as ruthless as any other megalomaniac ruler. He massacred the armies of 6 Chinese independent states. He forced hundreds of thousands of people to work on his mega projects and ruled with an iron fist. There were several attempts to assassinate him, but all of them failed. No wonder he wanted thousands of guards keeping a watchful eye in the afterlife. That's why the army is facing east, towards the countries he conquered, as if he was expecting them to rebel at any moment. And they did, in fact, rebel after his death, overthrowing his successors. Some scholars believe the rebel peasants actually stole the bronze weapons from the terracotta soldiers to arm their rebellion. How ironic. So now we come to the overarching question. If this find was so amazing, why wasn't it excavated fully? Well, it seems to be more complicated than it looks at first glance. The mausoleum is in fact an underground city that consists of 4 pits. Warriors were uncovered in 3 of them. Pit number 1 is the largest and contains 50 chariots and 6,000 infantrymen. Pit number 2 is half its size and holds chariots, infantry, cavalry, and crossbowmen. The 3rd pit is the smallest with 68 figures, 4 horses, 1 chariot, and 34 weapons. So these 3 pits were mostly all uncovered. What we still haven't uncovered is the thing that this incredible army is protecting: the tomb. The emperor's actual tomb is still shrouded in mystery. Legends speak of horrific traps and a lake of poisonous mercury, and the legends seem to be true. The emperor's final resting place is hidden around 35 meters beneath the pyramid. Until recently, we mostly knew about it from the records of China's first known historian, Sima Qian. He claims that using a miraculous mechanism, rivers of mercury flow in creating a pool of this toxic substance, and that trigger mechanisms send arrows flying at the intruders in an instant. If those things still work 2,200 years after it was created, that would be an amazing feat. These traps protect unimaginable treasures, including a vault with a dome ceiling decorated with precious gemstones depicting the sun, moon, and stars, and the floor is carved to represent the entire empire of Qin. The floor also has the country's rivers represented with streams of mercury. According to the archaeologists, they do not want to risk damaging the tomb by entering it. Also, it would cost tens of millions of dollars to finish the excavation. So recently they started using probes with the latest remote sensing technology. This is what they believe the tomb looks like, with the central chamber supposedly housing the soul of the emperor. This is its position within the pyramid structure. I don't know about you, but I don't think the money is an issue here. I feel like the Chinese do not want to go inside out of respect. Do you agree? In any case, 11 years after he conquered all the warring states and created China, Qin died, presumably from mercury poisoning. Supposedly he was taking immortality pills that were made of mercury. Maybe he took 1 dose too much. However, I reckon it's more likely that one of those assassins got him in the end. What do you think? I hope you had fun exploring Qin's amazing tomb. Let me know what you want me to explore in the following video. Until next time.